Hi everyone, welcome to another academic video. This one is all about leading or giving a tutorial class at university. So hi, if you're new around here, my name is Caroline. I am a UK-based physics lecturer. This video actually came in as a suggestion, so thank you very much to the person who suggested it. I never know if people like to have their names shouted out or not. If you leave me a comment for a video request, please do put if you want to shout out or not. But yeah, today's video is all about giving a tutorial within a university setting. And I think, like many of us, my tutorials for, a period of time had to go online and virtual during the pandemic. But actually now we're much more back to face-to-face teaching. So I thought for this video, I'd focus on giving a tutorial predominantly in person, where you go into the classroom and your students are there and you are the tutor leading the class. And if you're new around here, then I'm a physics-based academic. So I teach and I research and I do admin related to physics. So my tutorials tend to be quite problem-solving tutorials. Students will typically have a worksheet and there'll be kind of sciencey problems, physics problems on them, and we'll be going through those questions. If you're in a slightly different subject, your tutorial format might be more kind of essay-based or kind of discussion-based around a particular argument or essay. But hopefully some of these tips will kind of read across all the different types of tutorial that we might end up delivering within a university. The opening of your tutorial class is those first few moments where you get to make, an impression or an impact on your students. So I try, where possible, not to have just the same, very kind of rhythmically similar openings to my tutorial classes. I want to, from the very start of the class, set the energy, the tone, the kind of the interactive level that we're looking for within my tutorial sessions. And so you might think, well, how do I do that? How do I open a tutorial class in a way that is engaging or effective or captures people's attention? So I've tried different tactics. I've tried opening up with a challenge question straight away for the whole classroom. I've tried opening with a personal research-related statement. So if we're doing our physics questions on a particular area of physics, I might open actually with a famous or a fact about a famous person who was, connected to that research area. I might open with my favourite equation on that particular research topic. I might think of a fun activity we can start off with, just to get the kind of the atmosphere right in the class before we then dive into the main question sheet. And as I said, it's going to vary from subject to subject, depending on how many people are in your tutorials. So typically my tutorial classes range from 8 people up to maybe 30 people. And then occasionally I have a whole lecture tutorial, which is 100 people. And so you have to kind of adapt based on how many people are within your tutorial class. But definitely for those smaller tutorial sessions where I've only got maybe 8, 9, 10 students, I definitely try to get some kind of initial discussion going before we then dive into the main part of the tutorial session. The next thing that I tend to consider when I'm leading a tutorial class is the mode of teaching. So in my subject, physics, many of our tutorials are designed to be interactive. It's not meant to be me running through the perfect answers and the students just writing them down. It's meant to be an opportunity for students to kind of raise questions, to try to work out things themselves, for me to guide them and to kind of nudge them, but them to come to their own understanding of a particular topic or subject or equation. And so in my case, tutorial sessions need to be interactive. And so therefore I have to think about how am I going to achieve that? And not everybody wants to talk in a tutorial class. For some students, they really would rather just sit there and not have to, voice anything. They just want to be able to just listen and maybe not actively engage. Other students will be very happy to voice their opinions and, to scribble down their answers. So you need to create an environment where all the students can feel comfortable and included within your tutorial class. And that is really tricky. For my smaller tutorial classes, I will try to get the group to answer questions, and quite often I'll get the group to answer questions as a team. So in a couple of classes, we've had it so that we've used a whiteboard as the way of kind of writing up our answers to these tutorial questions. And the person who's got the pen doesn't necessarily have to think through the answer, but the students sitting around the tables looking at the whiteboard have to give ideas and suggestions on how to solve that particular question. I do that on purpose, basically, to encourage people to take the pen and to maybe try to write down a little bit of the answer, because they've got the feeling that the other students are there helping them and supporting them. And this is going to vary class from class. I've had some classes where the students have very quickly kind of formed a group, if you like, and they often socialise together. I had one class where we did the tutorial questions for an hour and then they went for like a breakfast brunch afterwards. So they were very comfortable interacting in front of, their classmates with their potential suggestions and answers. I've had other classes which are much quieter and where actually people really don't feel necessarily comfortable straight away being vocal in front of the rest of the group about their thinking or their answers. So yeah, I try as the tutor to create space for people to have a go at answering questions, to have a go at voicing their thoughts and their opinions before jumping in as the tutor with the answer. And what I sometimes find is near the start of semester, sometimes there's a couple of uncomfortable pauses. I'll ask something to the tutorial group and then there won't be anything coming back. Nobody will want to say anything. And it's very tempting as the tutor to fill that gap, to fill that space and that pause. And I really try not to. I try to leave it, a couple more seconds, because then quite often somebody in the room will say something and that will get the kind of the conversation going related to that tutorial question. Another thing that I do within my tutorial class is I think about changes of pace. I don't want it to be we do this question, we do this question, we do this question, and then you leave. I like to try to create some periods where we're being quite dynamic and quick doing something, and some periods where we're kind of maybe being a bit calmer and slower doing something. And again, it depends on what you're delivering, what the content of your tutorial is. I might have some short, quick questions that we're working through, and then some longer, more in-depth questions where we can discuss the tactics for how we're solving them, different ways of solving them, different approaches, scientific method approaches we could take to solve that particular question. So I just try to slightly change the pace of my class, my tutorial, to make it more interesting, so that the students, I guess, have kind of that energy boost halfway through. Typically my tutorial classes will be lasting for 50 minutes. That can be quite a long time when it's only yourself teaching and then the 8 students or the 9 or 10 students. It can be, quite an intensive hour. So I try to use these changes of pace within the class to liven things up or to have a little giggle about something and then to get on and tackle the next question. And I guess the last thing that I try to do is I try to make these tutorial classes fun. I can understand that, 9 o'clock in the morning doing a tutorial class on quantum mechanics, maybe they would rather just stay in bed than come and do questions with me. So I do try to make the classes and the tutorial sessions fun. Whether I'm successful or not, well, that is probably up to the students, I guess, their students' verdict on my sessions, but they're things that I try to do as the academic tutor. So I'd love to know, how do you find giving a tutorial class? Do you prefer a tutorial class over a lecture, or would you rather just be, able to lecture and not have to do that kind of tutorial interaction? let me know in the comments. We all have our preferences as academics, so which do you prefer, tutorial or lecture? But in the meantime, as always, do keep staying safe, do look after yourselves. I will be back here next Monday with another academic video, so if you haven't already, please do hit subscribe, and I'll see you in a week for more university chat. Bye!